computer here. I did compile what Stuart marked up on Tuesday so that we can know I himself I can be refreshed about what he already talked about. Okay, so we have gotten a little bit of a different direction than what Stuart suggested, but no, very, very similar. Okay, let's take a look at the questions you have. Sarah, can you confirm that you can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. All right, thank you. I like the way curb parking looks, but I'm confused on how to get it to work. Stuart will show you in CAD next Tuesday in terms of how to kind of set up the lines according to actually the center of the arc. Okay, so we can wait a little bit until we know how exactly we operate in CAD to make it work. How to scale properly. Do you mean setting it up in CAD in print space?
Yeah, so when I go to scale it in CAD, sometimes it turns out really small, even though I have it set on the 1:30.
Okay. I do have a CAD room set up, so I'll drop a note to Jonathan for him to help you with that scaling issue once we're done with the content review. Okay, so let's take a look. I think no, mostly your layout works fine. You do need a turnaround in this area, which might look like if you recall the 235 turnaround. Yeah, I'm drawing with a mouse, so it's not really great, but you get the idea. So you would have a separate turnaround in this area. And then all these would need to be 90 degrees, which we will show you later on how to make it work. So that will, this line will align with your driving aisle. Basically, you would have a portion of a circle that continues as that 25-foot two-way driving aisle. Okay, that's sort of the neck here. I'm not convinced that this is the best way to connect your parking with your drop off. If we take a look at what Stuart suggested the other day, I think it might be, okay. He did suggest to connect the drop off with the parking. We can, well, I have a different suggestion, unfortunately. We can definitely discuss with him once again to try to get on the same page. I think what you can do here is to have you have pretty much no flat area in this area, right? So your building can be moved backwards. Then you can move your parking actually away from this steep area. Can you see that this slope up until this contour remains pretty steep? So if the whole thing could be moved toward the southwest, this direction, then you can make your parking, keep your parking on the relatively flat area. Okay, so that would help you detach your drop off area. The drop off area now will be in this area. And then you can have a connection like this to your curved parking. That's your turnaround, actually. I'm sorry about the wobbly lines. Let me erase this. So then you would have a pretty spacious parking, plaza in front of your building. Okay, so yeah, if everyone needs to go through this parking to get into here and then come out this way, and then you always have two streams of traffic going through this turnaround, it might make it messy and not clear where people needs to go. But if you can separate when people come in here, if I can directly come out, then I make my drop off and then I leave. If I need to go to the parking lot, I would know that once I get to here, I turn into the parking lot and come out, and then be here, stop and have a stop sign, look around, and then go out. So that would help you separate the two traffic streams. And I think that would actually also make your parking space stay away from the steep area. One more possible revision would actually be having your driving from here instead of there. We always wanted to keep a 90 degrees kind of intersection there. If you have your entrance in this area, you can actually shorten this drop-off area, driving aisle, I mean, and then go out. And then here you would have a connection to, well, you can even move it closer. You can have a curved parking in that manner, having another turnaround over here, and having your building somewhere here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so let's do a few things before. Yeah, my suggestion would be to try this option instead of keeping your intersection in this area, because you will run into issues like I need to turn and then I need to make room here for my parking. And I think having your entrance over here would actually make that a lot easier, a lot more clear to separate the parking versus your drop off. So so let's try to make that change, but stick to the requirements of exercise 1. The required setback of 100 feet or 50 feet, those make sure you stick to that. If you run into a problem, come to me or Stuart, because it could be you could very easily get an issue of trying to maintain this for 100 feet and then eventually getting too close to the vegetation. Once you make those revisions, let's look at it again and make sure you stick to or you meet the criteria of exercise 1 submission. Okay. Yeah, it might not be so clear what I meant, but if you try it out, you can start to see why things could get tight as you get close to the vegetation. Okay. Any other questions?
No, that was all. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me see where Jonathan is for CAD. I see Ray here. Ray, can you hop to the CAD room and help Sarah with the scale issue? Ray is not unmuted. Let me see if she. Okay, I'm gonna move Ray. I'm gonna move you to CAD room, and I am moving Sarah to CAD room as well so that you can get this sorted out. Okay, good. All right, well, we'll move forward. I see that Trinity joined, so I'm gonna go back to 201, okay? 201. Okay, so the first page is what we have from Tuesday. Okay. And that's what we have for today. So yeah, for now, it's hard for this layout to work at this moment. So let me try to understand what he proposed on the other day. Okay, so that looks like he was suggesting that we have a parking lot in this area and then a drop off on the west side, on the north side, on the flat area, and having the building in the building circle that he drew for your interim one. Correctly scaling my work, I would put you in cat room after we review the content. How do I ensure that my drop off meets the criteria? If you make your drop off having a radius of about 110 feet, then most likely that's big enough for the 3-lane, passing up two-way driveway. You should be, able to meet the space criteria by simply drawing a circle and then modify some of the circle to be straight, right? When we meet the 90 degree intersection, you would modify part of the drop off to be straight, like what you had. Okay, so what I meant was this dimension would be about 110 feet. Then you would have a sufficiently large drop off area. Where should be stairs be coming and going to? Okay, remember the building is two. It's very similar to what we have for our 235. If I'm drawing cross section, that's the top floor, bottom floor, and your bottom would be your backyard would be looking like this, going away from the building. And you have a top plaza, right? Plaza should slope away from the building. So that's your top floor, that's your entrance, and this is your plaza, that's your plaza, and this is your backyard. Okay, so the stairs will be on the side. Now you should create accessibility from the front. If from this area in the plan, okay, from the front, you would have a set of stairs going down on the side to the bottom floor. So you could put the stairs on this side of your building or the other side. You don't need both. Okay, the stairs will basically going through 9 feet in elevation difference.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is the building going to be a 1-story building or is it a 2-story building?
2-story.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
The top floor, and this is the bottom floor. Okay, so we're entering the top floor, and then there's stairs inside the building as well. It could be an elevator inside the building to get down to the bottom floor, but in case people want to go directly to the bottom floor from the plaza, we need a set of exterior stairs. Okay, it could be on either side of the building. All right, so that is about the stairs. What's the best way to connect the parking to the entrance? So if you allow me to go back to what he drew, Stuart drew on this. Well, a lot of you will have a similar layout like this, right? You would have a turnaround here, you would have a drop off over here. Now think about where people get off. Okay, people get off from you drive over and then people get off from here. Let me try to get to that. You get off from here, right? The bus is driving around and then it drops people off from here. There's a smaller turnaround for the parking lot itself. There people are dropped off along this edge, right? So that means your your plaza area would be like this area, right? So that when I'm dropped off, I can walk to my building entrance. I can walk from my building entrance. So basically, the plaza needs to link wherever folks are dropped off from the drop-off area or the other parking lot drop-off area between the two green and the building. Okay, so that's where how the plaza should link from the two areas to the building. And now let's take a look at this design here. Trying to zoom back out. Oh, come on. So for now, we need to move move the building over to move the building over here. And we can have a curved drop-off area like this. And same thing, we would have branching out of a curved parking lot. Yeah. Okay. You can also swap the having the drop off on the other area, but no, this looks like you have already started having the drop off in close to the vegetation. If you okay, yeah, if you simply make these two one longer one, follow this layout, I know you're most likely going to make it work. So I think this will give you enough to make the revisions. Any other questions, Trinity?
I do have a question. So I kind of want to also try to incorporate my my first idea that I had, because I kind of like the idea of having two drop-offs. And with the parking on like two separate sides, do you think that would work or no?
The first idea,
Like how I had it split off into two separate areas, the parking.
this one, the issue with this one is yeah, the issue with that one might be that you would need two separate drop off the smaller circle, which makes it less efficient. It could work. It could be also a little confusing in terms of if I drive like no, let's clear some of these out and then I will show you what I mean. If I am driving in the drop off the purple one, okay, if I'm driving the purple one, if I need a connection here to this drop off area, well, we're definitely running out of space a little bit over here, right? And then there's another separate lane going into this drop-off area, then if I am not able to, for instance, if it's full, if I don't want to park here, then I drive over through the drop-off, and then I turn right into the second drop-off, and then there is nothing there for me to park. Then I drive out, and when I'm here, so then I need to turn into this area looking for another one. So it becomes inevitable that I have to, oh, sorry. I always have to be in this. I always have to be in this circle or share the road with the other drop-off people who wanted to get out of here very quickly, right? So it's clear that when I'm here, I'm gonna drop people off and then I go very quickly leaving the site. But the route that I take would be constantly complicated by people wanting to turn into this and not being able to find any if that happens. So that circulation becomes a little too complicated. If, for instance, if we can separate it, I would rather keeping the drop-off, this drop-off very much separated from the other places. So if anybody wants to park, I probably would erase all this, and then start going, using this lane instead, using that one instead to link multiple parking, so that it's very clear if I want to park, I want to drop people off, I use the green. If I don't, I turn into the purple that I just drew. I turn into purple, and then from the purple, I look for another purple that branches off from the major connector. Does that make sense? So avoiding the red, the original red, to be connected to the green, and branching, having multiple branches out of the major road would be my suggestion. And then it becomes, where can I find that flat space if I want to separate it? If, again, I'll need to erase, it's becoming pretty cluttered. Erase the red thing. Okay. So if I want to keep the green separated from the orange that I just drew, having it over here, if I want to separate it out, I need somewhere that is flat, so that I know, okay, if I look for parking over here, I cannot find it, I can come out, and then I can keep going to the next one. Does that make sense? I would have the orange stay on the same side of the orange road instead of on a separate side.
I understand.
Yes. And then then it comes back to, do we have flat space over here? And because our shape of the flatland looks like this, that's why the best solution is to have a single one. If we have flat space somewhere over here where we can fit it, that could work too. If you want to do that, that could work too. But no, it will cost a little bit more space per parking lot to make it happen.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
good.
thank you.
All right, let me move forward. So we have 115, Alice. Alice, can you let me know that you can hear me? I don't see Alice here. let me try to, so Trinity, I'm going to move you to CAD so that Ray could help you with the scaling issue.
Okay, that's fine.
Alice, it's not here, so let's try Paige. Hey, Paige.
Hi.
Hey, good. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. Let's do. So that's the first one from, okay, from last class. And this is the, okay, good. We're getting close to what looks like a good solution. Our drop off, it's getting close to a steep slope. And well, right now the relationship is pretty good. It's fine tuning where we can maximize our parking lot area that's being located on a relatively flat land. Okay, so we're getting there, pretty close. Line types, that would become again a Ray question or a Jonathan question. So, okay, let's do a few small revisions. So the first thing, instead of having, if you draw the parking or driving aisle center line, it looks pretty curvy, right? When it's a little bit unnecessarily curvy in this case. And the other thing is that we want to try to keep our driving smooth on the right side. So your center line would look like something like this. And then it would have a perpendicular connection to wherever they turn right and go out. Okay, so this would pretty much be your revised center line of the driving aisle. Okay, and the same thing with the middle island, small island. You would have a relatively straight. Well, of course, you have to run that round that corner, and then here on the other side, it will be more. So this angle will be more perpendicular, and then the other sides would be more curvilinear, following the shape of your driving aisle. Okay, now we definitely no, I was showing the center line, but now you can see that my center line is actually in a pretty steep area, which means we will need to move this more like this. So we keep most of our drop off in a pretty flat area. Okay, and then our parking lot right now is pretty much straight. Then we're not utilizing the area here that much. So perhaps you could turn the parking lot to the right for around 10 degrees maybe. So you would have something like this. So your blade shaped parking lot would look like more or less like this. And now I know this creates a little bit of an issue of the connection, but if, for instance, now you align this, the center line of the parking lot, and then create a perpendicular angle to this driving aisle. Those are the two angles you would need to keep. And then in the middle, you could turn that. So that would be your connecting kind of, so this connector where you turn right into a parking lot, this could be a little curvilinear, okay? So it would look like this, turning into, making it perpendicular to the side of your parking lot. Okay, so those are some of the small changes to make for the drop off and your blade shaped parking lot. And then I would recommend that your building to be moved to this direction. So you have a building somewhat like this. And then later on, you have a connection to wherever people are dropped off here and here. So that's your plaza. Okay. This is mainly because you might have stairs over here, and we're getting close. Well, once we have the stairs over here, these contours will need to change a bit. Okay, so we're getting really close to the tree, creating some limit for us to alter the contours in this area. If we leave a little bit more room from the tree, and also that creates a better orientation. Now, when you step down the bus over here, you're not immediately seeing the entrance or the big door of the building just yet, right? There's a little bit of a distance. It becomes a little more balanced between, people are dropped over here and there. So relatively, this building is in the middle. So the similar distance walking from the parking drop off in this area and that area. Okay. Otherwise, I think progress is good. So just continue to revise, and now all of you probably would need to revise along the way as we figure out the bioretention area that later we will create. So it's going to be pretty common for us to ask you to change a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And yeah, we just need to be prepared of those repetitions. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about, Paige?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Moving forward. I got some chat. Okay, it's taken care of. Okay, Sarah. Okay, Sarah, it's here. Can you
Hi.
Okay, good. I see some hand drawing over there. Good, good. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Very similar. I would have a similar comment. Yeah, we have some flat areas here that we want to take better advantage of. We would want to keep the length, the width of the road constant. Okay, and that would be a lot smaller because you would want to keep this drop-off area. You need three car, right? No, 3 cars being able to drive across at the same time. Okay. Otherwise, well, we need to round the corners, which you might already know. Okay, so let's think about the space a little bit. Okay, when I'm dropped off over here, I'm actually looking at the other drop off. Now, when I'm dropped off here, that's roughly, if we have our plaza connecting like this, that's pretty good. If I see the entrance over here and then I walk over, but you would want to try to align this drop off area more like in this direction, right? When I'm dropped off over here, I see the entrance, I step down, and then I know exactly where I want to go. So you want to try to turn your parking lot in this way. So no, part of that it's leveraging the flat area over here. Another part is trying to have some area in between, right? The area in between, this can become green space. Later on, you'll find that's very helpful for treating all your water coming off of your parking lot. So revise the shape of the driving aisle for the big bus drop-off. Rotate your parking lot more toward your building, the front of the building, and So those are the two major changes. And one more little thing, let me zoom in. One little thing is about connection, okay? So what I meant is you would want to, you don't, okay. The reason why we want to try to, not have two options here is that you want people to not be confused once I am here, you know. So a way to revise this would be not for them to turn directly into, instead of having one, you would have, instead of having two, you only have one way that you would try to get out. Let me see. So actually, oh, I see what you did. You had so if you have a connection inside and then there's only one direction you can. Wait a second. Let me erase that one. Okay. Yeah, if I can somehow ask them to return to the main aisle and then go out, that would be better because this distance is pretty small. Okay. Make that a little bit bigger, so that's on the other side. Round this. That one. Make this a little bit narrower. Nope. Take that back. The turning radius here being a little bigger than this one would help. So that enables people to know that this is the major direction that they want to go and then come out over there. Yeah, you would need, okay. Give me a couple more seconds. There's a, just can't, this rain froze. Okay. So like I now remember. You would want, if we can have people entering with one entrance and then there's nowhere else that they could. So was from the side. Then, oh, that's having. Well, my brain doesn't seem to work today, I'll be honest. So let me think a little bit about more about this connection, and then I'll get back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's
It's
all
one
right.
of those days.
Thank you.
Okay. But overall, good work, and those two things, those two major things would definitely be worth revising for your next submission. Okay. Checking in to see Jake, if Jake is here. Okay, Jake is over here. Okay, let's see. All right, I see that. Okay, parking lot drop off. This is a little too close to the to the vegetation. Jake, did you measure how far away your bus drop off is to the vegetation here? You're not. Jake, can you unmute Jake? Okay, I see that you unmuted. Can you measure how much this distance here is? The bus drop off to the vegetation? Somehow I'm not hearing you. All right, if your audio doesn't work, you can type in, okay? But I'll continue to talk about a few other things. You can see that you have a lot of flat area, right? I think you should bring this whole thing to that direction and maybe line that line to that line, okay? Move this to the next contour. It's a little bit steep over here, but that's okay. You're still leveraging more the flat area over here, right? So I think that would be a good move, because you can see that the distance here is pretty short, right? No, I'm not sure if this fulfills that 50 feet. And then we're getting a little close to here as well. You can see that this is a little butte over here. You will have to modify contours in this area. Once basically you would need to cut quite a bit of the slope to create that road, for the road not to be too steep, connecting to your major road over here, which is for later. But no, this distance looks to me a little tight for creating, for cutting the little mount and connecting the contours to your bus drop off. So that's something I think worth doing. And the neck doesn't have to be very long. If everybody or most of you are creating a turnaround, you can go back to large 235. No, there is an exactly same bus drop off or car drop off area on the 235 final project, at the end of the parking lot, if you remember. So check that dimension. You can basically slap that drop off area onto this onto this map. It should work. Okay. Otherwise, we're getting you have a pretty big plaza. You have a pretty big plaza. You can see the plaza area. The footprint of the plaza is actually bigger than the building. I think you can move the building a little bit closer. Okay, a little closer. Of course, you will move these further to the north, which means your building probably would move even further, even closer than what I drew, maybe here according to your current base plan, right? So You don't need a huge plaza because that's a lot of impervious areas as well. You could try to reduce by cutting out some of the impervious area inside of the plaza, but think about how big does it need to be in the first place. And that would also help you staying a little bit away from the steep slope over here. You can imagine later on, creating this plaza would mean all these contours will need to be moved very very much like the 235 final project that you did. Okay, my contours are not drawing in the right direction. I'm creating flows to the wall, but you get the idea. So these contours later on will need to be attached to any retaining wall that you create for the 9 feet elevation, 10-foot elevation difference for the two floors. So keeping a little bit of distance from your property line would actually help in the long run. Does that make sense? I'm not seeing chats, but let me. Okay, good. Thank you, Jake, for confirming. I haven't talked about your question yet. Would it be beneficial to bring the drop-off points closer to the building? Yeah, I think what you meant was, the plaza right now it's likely too spacious. So yes, let's move these two components together, closer together. Should separate lane for bus drop-off be incorporated? A separate lane. I'm not exactly sure what you meant by separate lane. So as we discussed for the previous submissions, the shape of the drop-off will need to be changed, right? So it most likely will be looking like that. And then you would try to incorporate, look up the bus dimensions. Once the bus is over here, you're having a relatively straight section over here actually, because you're dropping people off in this area toward your building, and then leave 2 car space to the side so that they can drive, to avoid any mistakes for them to come through. So thoughts on adding a retaining wall along all sides of the back plaza? It's not necessary. Likely you only need on both sides here, because it's pretty steep. It's pretty steep over here on the sides, so it's very likely that you will be back to grade once you get to this area. So for now, that inevitably everybody would have retaining wall on the side just because of the differences of the 2 floor elevations. I don't anticipate that you would need a retaining wall there. So not necessarily have to add it at this point. Okay. Okay, now you have 30 to 40 feet between bus drop and vegetation. Look up the rubric for exercise 1 submission. My recollection was it was 50 feet, which can be flexible later, okay? Not for exercise 1 submission. The reason we kept it pretty limited for exercise 1 submission is that we want everyone to leave enough room in case later on grading in those areas are necessary. Okay, we will relax as we get into later phases of fine grading. If we found out, yeah, with 30 feet, we still can make it work, and that differs from case to case, then we will ask you to relax that. But for exercise 1, stick to the rubric would be important. Okay. Any other questions, Jake? Okay, good, thank you. Let me clear. All right. So I have Carrie 119. So
Things
Yeah, I'm
major
here.
project.
okay, good. Thank you for confirming. Okay, so That was from Tuesday. And I see a different combination. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we're getting too close here. We're getting very close over here. Yeah, we have a lot of flat space here that is not used. The road comes in. I wouldn't have another road over here just to, let's see, if I cannot find any parking in this area, I will need to. So the first choice, the first decision I need to make is where do I enter? Maybe that's less of a problem. You know, if I come from this way, I will enter from here. And then if I cannot find anything, I would go here. If I cannot find anything or I don't like a particular parking lot, then I need to go over to there again and entering that. So you can kind of see how it could get a little daunting, try to find a parking space. I sometimes pass on an available one to look for a better one, and only to find there's not a better one later on, and then I need to start over again. So circulation here is not that ideal, right? Are we having more than necessary? How many parking spaces do you have right now? One, two,
I have 71 parking spaces.
70?
Yeah, 71. No, 72.
We only need
72 parking spaces.
we only need 40, right?
I
Yeah,
have
something like
exactly
that.
40 parking.
Yeah. So we don't need that portion. We can get rid of that portion. I'm pretty confident that you will be able to find a simpler solution. You know, with even if I need to lengthen this a little bit, we should be able to solve it with one blade. Okay, should be able to solve it with one blade like that. Let's think about the connection. So we're getting too close to here. As I mentioned, this is a butte, right? This is a little mound. Unless you're like, I'm going to fortify this butte with a retaining wall like that and wrap it around, then I can do whatever I want in this area. But that's very expensive and honestly not that necessary. So we'll move the blade to the flatter area. Okay. Now it seems like it almost seems like it's possible even to put the blade over here because you can see how flat this is. It's prime land for parking lot. If you are up for it, I think trying and putting the whole blade in this area and make your drop off area like over here, it could be a pretty good option. Of course, you can keep your current layout by keeping your blade to the south of the land. That's perfectly fine too. But I would try to find a way to place your drop off actually in the flat area. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because here you can see contours are pretty close by. You would want this to stay less than 5%. So I would try that option. Try to move the blade over there, having a connection. Yeah, your connection would actually be like this. So if I keep my drop off over here, my parking connection would be like that. Okay, I would have a single lane coming into here, turn around, and then coming up. Okay, you could even connect it to here, actually, because what you want to try to avoid is for people to zoom out like very straight out there, fast. You could enter from here and then create a 90-degree angle again for them to come out. So this line of vehicle will be slower than people coming in. So either way, it's not wrong, but I would prefer that we come out in this, come in this direction and then come out with a 90-degree angle and then go out. Okay, so people that have already dropped off other people would be slower than people coming in. Okay, so that's pretty much my comments. Think about where you would need sidewalk and where you don't. Okay, for instance, here you would not need sidewalk. This looks like sidewalk to me. Is that sidewalks?
Yes.
So you would want to try to, yeah, I can see you have an echo in that.
Good.
Necessarily have to, for now you have all the sidewalks already drawn out. Now it's the time to think about where they are definitely needed and where you actually don't need to construct them, right? Where people tend not to go. So coming in, you know, on that side, you might want people to stay on this side of the road. Okay. And definitely here later on you will be changing it into bioretention. So these details they are likely going to change later in the term. Okay, but otherwise the organization makes sense to me. Okay, any other questions you have?
Only if is where my building place gonna be fine for when I do the contours.
You know what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You've heard of
When
that.
you moved your drop off over here, you can see I can actually move my building forward because this blade is also going in that direction, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
your building will be moved forward in this direction.
This is exactly what I thought.
Okay. All right.
Right. Thank you. All right. Next, I have Sood. Okay, yeah, you're here. Let's take a look. Yeah, can you unmute to let me know you're here? Or type in the chat, that'll be okay too. Okay. Sounds good. So, all right, let's take a look here. You have the parking lot drop off. The drop off area, it's right now appears to be too small. Okay. Coming in, coming out. Your drop off tend to be okay. So what I suspect that people would do once they come over here, they would like, okay, the building's over here, I can see it. Why don't you get off here? Right? Or they drive, you know, around to here and say, yeah, let's drop you off of there. So that becomes a natural drop-off area. And then because this is not facing the building, once I drive over here, I'm sensing that I'm moving far away from the building. So that is not people wouldn't naturally perceive this to be a drop-off area. Instead, they would think, okay, I'm actually going to drop off over there. Does that make sense? So your parking lot would end somewhere. So people won't necessarily think that they will have to drive over there to drop people off. They would once they come into this area, they would think, okay, I might be able to drop people off already. So very likely that's what people are going to do. All right. So your parking lot very likely would become this. So they come in, let me use a different color. They come in and they see the building, drop people off, and then go out this way. And then, so this would likely become the layout of your parking space. Now we can see it's a little bit hard for you to fit both of the drop-off area in that area, right? So very likely you would need to move this to this direction, the other drop-off. So that's your other drop-off. Okay, and we're again not utilizing this flat area that much. So, well, it sounds boring, but you would turn this 90 degrees, right? We're leveraging the flat area here. So it seems like this is again going to turn into the common solution of lining your parking lot in this direction instead of the other direction that you had, simply because in this direction we don't have as many flat spaces to fit in the long kind of the arrangements of 40 parking lots in 4 rows in this direction. Okay. So the building seems pretty good in a pretty good location. Let me try to see what the Tuesday discussion was about. Very similar to what we're proposing there, except for, Stuart, I think had two different solutions there. One is the drop-off, bus drop-off close to vegetation on the north side. Okay, turn to the second page. Yeah. So, okay, let's take a look at your questions again. My main road is 30 feet, but my parking lot rows are 20 to 25. Is that acceptable? Yes. That's actually, yeah, I think what we mentioned during the presentations, main road is 30 and parking lot road should be 25. Turnaround, a little too small. Entrance drive, parking lot entrance safe. Well, ideally, you would want people to more smoothly turn in this direction, and then create a 90 degree for them to stop here and then turn right. Right, so there's a stop sign over here. Right now, once I sort of when you get here, actually people would zoom in this direction because this road is pretty straight. Now encourages high speed, right? So it should be the other way around. People coming in a curve, not too fast, but relatively smooth, right? When they go out, they stop and then look at the incoming traffic, and then they wait until the other automobiles passes safely, and then they turn right into the main street. Okay, so that's the kind of relationship we want to try to create. Retaining walls, you are like later on when we ask for you to treat all the water from the parking lot, it could be in this area. If you're too close to the vegetation, some folks have to create retaining wall in this area, not that close to the vegetation. Okay, some, likely you might need some sections of retaining walls in this area. Definitely retaining walls here beside the building. Those are pretty much the only area that we commonly would need retaining walls. Okay. Should I make my drop-off area longer and larger? I think we talked about the drop-off not working here, drop-off working, you know, facing the building, where when people can see, they would want to be dropped off and then walk toward your building entrance. Okay, so let's turn the parking lot 90 degrees, have a drop-off area that is facing the building, and we will revise the curving and radius or diameter of the drop-off area for the bus. It needs to be 100 feet to 110 foot in diameter for the drop-off area to work. And that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much the suggestions that I would make. So so if you can type in chat what other additional questions you have, that'd be good. Alrighty, thank you. Okay, I think we have Logan. Yeah, Logan is here. So that was from Tuesday, pretty good already. And oh, wrong direction. So okay, I think we revised that all layout. Where would an ideal location be for the retaining wall for this layout? For your layout, retaining wall, right now you can't anticipate whether or not it is necessary in this area. But we definitely would have retaining walls beside the buildings. Entrance drive have to be 20. Entrance drive recommended would be 30, right? The driving aisle would be 25. So inside here, it would be 25, okay, in the middle of the parking area. So for now, I would say let's curb this. Okay, let's stay a little bit away from the vegetation. It was too close. And then create a vertical connection here to your parking area. And we need to turn around at the end. And I think it's getting pretty steep. So I would want the turnaround to be a little bit closer to the turnaround to be relatively on the flatland over here. Okay. So otherwise the layout works fine. And it's time to get into laying out the parking space. Well, at least we need to know roughly this is the length that we need. All right. Especially for identifying the location for the drop off for the parking. So we need to start putting in the parking stalls into the parking area. Otherwise, the relationship works fine. The location of the building works fine. So yeah, we just need to revise the drop off and putting more details there. Does that make sense, Logan?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, alrighty. Relatively painless, huh? Okay, good. Let me close out here. Okay, we'll talk about Shelley's. Okay. So that was from Tuesday. And So we have the building, we have the drop-off area and parking lot. So drop off. Okay. We need this to be perpendicular, the connection here. So you would want to curve into your drop off here. And then let's move this line to about there, okay? Because we're getting pretty close to the steeper slope. And if we need fire retention on the side of the parking lot later on, we don't have enough space, okay? Unless everything slopes to the middle. That's an option as well. So Shelly, I would ask you to actually verify this is 65. Okay, now this needs to be at least 65 foot wide. Yeah, I can't measure, so I don't know for sure, but it's time to get to be more accurate in terms of how long we need the parking lot to be. Again, no, we will need to turn around at the end, right? For this layout. So vertical or perpendicular for the intersection, the first thing. The second thing is to be more accurate in terms of how long this parking lot needs to be. Add a turnaround at the end. If we're getting too close to the vegetation, you would need to revise the curve for it to be like this, okay? Because we have more flat space in this direction. And one more thing, if I erase that one, you can see where we have a lot of road space, right? Now that connection is it's huge, and we would want to try to minimize paved space if we can, right? So again, this would be some green space in the middle. You would drive in, and then drop people off here and then turn around and stop here and then go out. So, you can see that I have a lot of paving in the middle here, right? We want to try to minimize the connection. Instead, we want to make the paved surface in the drop off most usable. Most of them needs to be functional and necessary space instead of big paving that the buses won't actually use as driving space. Okay, so the neck, basically, let's reduce the length of the neck. Okay, that was a pretty bad. So this direction we don't need as much. Yeah, and we turn directly into the drop-off space, reducing that connection there. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I zoom out, if I'll see questions. Okay. Any other questions you want to go through, Shelly?
No, that was good. Thank you.
Okay, right. All right, let's look at James. You here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was having so many issues with my mic. So whenever I went to plot this, I couldn't. Oh, this is not the right one.
Yes.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
10.
okay. So whenever I went to plot this, my laptop was all messed up and I couldn't get back into my layers to fix the plotting, but I resubmitted another one so that during this review you could see it better. But I don't know if that's too much trouble to get into the submission right now. But I have properly.
When did you
I
submit?
did it maybe an hour ago.
Okay.
I just did it while I was waiting.
Let's take a look here. Yeah, well, it's all pretty light now, which is so after we review the submission, can you please go into cat room with Ray so that you can get this sorted out?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have here is your parking lot. I'm trying to figure out where the parking lot is.
Sorry, I didn't label it. It's the two bigger spaces right there and then the drop off. Like, I think you
So
guys-
it feels like this is the is this the parking lot here?
yeah, there's that parking lot and then there's another one that's like another kind of funny shape, but it'll come out to like
Well, if it's this direction, then the drop off will be in this area, which I would doubt that you have enough space unless it's double loaded. You don't have enough. Yeah, you probably need to. Okay, let's. So the drop off here, we did talk about that, right? We wanted to have a vertical connection over here and then turn into this shape. You likely will need that big of a surface there. And then our building would be in between the drop off and the other parking lot. So you might be able to, let's see, fit in a long one. Should be able to fit in a long one in one direction like this. That's still, yeah, we still want it to be more like that, so you have enough length. So let me try to erase this, erase that, then get more. Have a perpendicular one connection over here. So then that one goes like this. Does that make sense? So you would have a main road bus drop off, a good distance over here. Okay, that's pretty spacious. And then something in between that can become green later on for water treatment. And then here is where you connect to your parking lot with a smaller turnaround at the end for the drop off for the cars. We're getting a little bit close to the steep area, but I think we can mostly stay away from that. If we later on grade the parking lot for it all slope to the middle, then we don't necessarily need a lot of space in this area, so that will be okay. Yeah, that would be the recommendation that I make to your vision. Let me explain a little bit why why this could be confusing and we're not utilizing the flat area over here, right? We don't have enough space. No, we don't have enough space for the parking lot because if you remember, here you need to be more or less perpendicular to the curve and then having a turnaround in the end here, right? Looking like that. So the actual parking space you have is mostly that much. And this doesn't really give you.
So this might not like make sense. Like, okay, so that other open space that you were saying where I wasn't like utilizing the flat area, I do have that as a parking lot, but it's kind of an awkward shape and it would have to be a lot of parking on one side and then not much parking on the other side. So it might use too much pavement, but that was my original plan. Sorry, it's not labeled. Like that space directly
This would be
next to
parking
it.
lot
Yeah,
instead of that one.
I have two in
You have
there.
Okay.
And then that's a sidewalk along the side that connects to the plaza. If it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. These two, if they are organized like this, then we might as well turn them into two, right? Turn them into one, meaning that I have this basically you're making a curved blade. I go in from here, and then when I cannot find anything, I will turn into that one, and then I'll turn out and then go out. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
so yeah, so this actually becomes one blade, but instead of being the regular shape of this, I curve them, right? I curve them, make basically it's the model of the blade. But instead of a straight alignment of the parking space, I have curved alignment of the parking space. But the arrangement will be the same, meaning that I have one load like this, and then I have two loads of parking in the middle like that, and then I have another one. Does that make sense? So that's my blade, but it's just all the lines are curved instead of straight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, because otherwise I'm like I have one parking, another parking, I go into this parking, and then I dead end and go out, and then I go back there. If I come for the other one, I go in, I go out, I turn around, I need a turn around area, and then I go out. These become two separate ones, but it's not very cost effective how they utilize space, right? So if I integrate them into one, then I only need to go in. If I don't find any space, I connect and turn to the next one, and then I go out and I go out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what I
that-
basically, sorry.
Go ahead.
Um, so would I would I basically just have like a little opening like road type of thing that's connecting both of them, or do I just like okay, that makes sense.
Yes, you connect them. You're likely going to orient the whole thing, following the curve. Okay, so this will be the space that you have to fit in all your 40 parking spaces. So you turn your blade so the edge of your parking lot more or less follows the direction of the contours. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let me close this out, and then yeah, this is my group. I think okay. Sander. All right. Sander, can you unmute or type to let me know you're here?
I'm here.
Hey. All right. So that was from Tuesday. This is from today. We have the entrance building, parking lot, going in, going out. Okay, I guess what it's missing is it's the car drop off, right? We don't have a car drop off area. So we'll have to make a little more revision than you did. Because we don't have a way to drop people off. You know, the bus dropped people off and went away. The cars, if they have a baby, for instance, you know, they have to, if for instance, I am driving over with my with my infant, right? I cannot drop her off here and then I say, oh, I'm gonna go park my car and leave her over there, right? So that makes it, important for well, not exactly the best example. If that's the case, I parked and then I need to go from the parking lot and be here, I don't have a safe way to come over. The main reason being your drop off is right in front of your building, occupying the prime space for the plaza, right? So it's likely going to be not so aesthetic either because right after the drop off area you have your plaza and you don't necessarily create a calm or a quiet space for your plaza, right? So that's the main reason we have to make the parking lot here more attached, more connected to your plaza over here. And I think that's the main reason why Stuart suggested that you curve this thing. So the end of this parking lot right here, that's the drop-off area, is facing your building. Okay, so what you need to do is to make this drop-off, move it over to the side so that it's not sitting right in front of your plaza, and then curve your parking lot over here. So the end where the drop-off area here is facing, it will be facing your building entrance. All right. So what we need to do is to curve this a little bit more. So this though becomes to the side, moves to the side, and then curve this more. So at the end where drop off is, you'll be able to see the building. Does that make sense? So your building would still, it makes sense for it to stay here, but your direction of your parking lot and your location of the bus drop off would be changed. Does that sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, make those revisions and then the layout would make a lot more sense. Okay, good. So that is this. Is that Ella?
Hello.
Great. Oh, I want to check back in to see if Alice actually is here. Not. Okay, we'll proceed then with yours. Okay. Come on. That was from Tuesday, and then we'll take a look at this one. Right now we have a pretty straight. Okay. So in the middle, we have only one parking space, which means, yeah, we're providing a lot of options for the driver. Let me read through your questions here. For the second entrance for the parking lot, should I keep the road where it is or make it go straight out to the road?
I can explain that if you'd like.
Is it over here?
Yeah, that one. I know we're allowed to bring that road back out to like the main road, but I was just curious what the parameters were for that, and if I should even have that road or just make it cut off there.
We need to eliminate some of the options that you're providing. Stairs and retaining wall, are they on the same side? They can be. Well, stairs. Every stair, if you design one set of stairs, it will be accompanied by retaining walls. Okay, that's just necessary because stairs, you go over a lot of elevation differences with stairs, right? They're pretty efficient. They're changing the grade, meaning that beside the stairs, you have to have the retaining wall because the landscape could not have the same slope as your stairs. That's why stairs have to come with the retaining walls. So in most cases, you would have retaining walls on both sides of the building, but you only need to design one set of stairs. Okay, you can choose wherever you have more space to put the stairs. Remember, later on you will need a ramp as well, right? So there you can place the ramp separately with the stairs, or you can place them together, where if you have a lot of space on one side of the building, you can combine them together on one side. Right now, you just need to have conceptually, I have some space. I know we have to design this later on. It's sort of a placeholder. Kind of put that in your back of your mind that I have to leave space for these two things. Okay, no specifics needs to be shown for stairs and the ramp and the retaining wall at this stage. So let's talk about that. Come back to talk about the layout here. The major issue is that we're providing more choices for the drivers, which could create some chaos, right? If I'm a driver, I come from this direction, I get in, and then it seems like this is the direction that I'm encouraged to go. Okay, then I drop people off, I come out, and then I go out. If that's all I need to do. But if I see parking, I'm like, oh, okay, let's park first. I can go in this direction, but then when I drive here, I have a very small island here. Then I'll have to decide, do I go here or do I go there? Right? Once I get to this point, I'm like, oh, I can go out if I already park or if I already drop people off, and then I can leave. So there's very many options that I provide to the drivers. And, I can also go this direction. Or once I get here, I may even make a mistake of turning left. So there's very many openings in the parking lot and over here as well that could facilitate or even increase mistakes, because there's really all these directions, they don't seem to have a hierarchy, right? If a road is very narrow, then I know, okay, I'm not encouraged to go there, although I can go there. So let's try to eliminate some of these options. Okay, so let me try to clear here. No for that one, because it's very close to the intersection. All right, so let's say I am here, then I drive over, then I see, okay, the parking lot is over here. If I want to park, I can turn right. And only one entrance going in and out of the parking lot would be a good choice. Okay, so how, and the next thing, let's talk about efficiency, right? If I can double load that one, that would be much more efficient in terms of space per parking stall. If I count average area per parking stall for a parking lot, I want to try to maximize the number of cars that I can fit in a certain area, right? So here, instead of three rows of parking sharing 2 driving aisles, I have 4 rows of parking sharing 2 driving aisles. So that's a more efficient way of laying out my parking. Okay, so let me clear again. So what I'm going to recommend is for you, the dimension here, it's probably off, right? We're seeing like a square as a parking space. It should be 20 by 10, right? So it would be 2-to-1 ratio in terms of it's a rectangle instead of square. All right, so let's correct that by having the right dimensions for the parking stalls, and we'll change the middle. We'll change the middle to 2 rows. I know I'm off in terms of scale, but let's change to 2 rows and here 1 more. So you'll still have a long elongated shape, but then we have 4 rows of parking. Okay, 4 rows of parking. In that case, we may have 11 in the middle and maybe 9 on the side, or you can do 10, 10, 10, 10, right? So now where should we get in? We should get in from here, create an opening in the middle, only one of them. Okay, so let me change another color here. So basically we're driving like this and going out and then coming back and then going out to the main road. That's our circulation inside of the parking lot. Okay. And having a drop off over here, it's good. So we have another drop off here and then the bus drop off over there. And you can see that this is well connected to the building, which is good. Okay, so in terms of parking lot, we'll make 4 rows. We'll create 1 single entrance on the side of the parking lot. It could be in the middle, though. So wherever this opening is in comparison to sort of the first row of the parking lot would be okay. Okay, you could even be, well, we want to try to avoid putting it right in the middle because then people would not naturally turn right and finish the looping. Okay, put it in relatively shorter distance to the left side. Then this will be the encouraged direction. Okay, encouraged direction, and then people looping back out and then exit the parking lot. Okay, so that's this one. Depending on how much space you have, you might need to curve it in this direction. Slightly curving it seems to be helping with placing the main parking lot in this pretty flat area because we're getting a little steep over here now. So we can probably stop at this contour, utilizing most of the flatter area to this end. So it might look like this. And then your entrance would be somewhere here. Okay, so that's the parking lot. And now you can see that this is in a relatively steep area, and you would probably anticipate what I'm going to recommend is to put it over here. So having the end of the circle align with the third, this is probably the 105 contour. The third one would be necessary. You know, if you can move it over to here, that's even better, right? It might be, yeah, this might work just as well. You might have enough space to make this work. Then I would have my main road looking like that. Yeah, it's actually working pretty well, and just in this location. We change to orange again. It could be you move a little closer. I know this is probably the distance that you want to keep. So moving a little closer would mean your edge of the parking lot is the second line. This purple. And then you have your parking lot like this. And then a little bit of enlargement of the drop-up area. Does that make sense? And then your
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Great. Well, yeah, that's about it. Okay, I'll move forward then. Okay. Page. Yeah, I see you're here. Okay. All right. So take a look at that one. So Paige, I would say the layout pretty much works. Now let's get into some of the details, okay? We need to change the direction to this. Right, that's that one. And then looping around, that works. So we need to be more specific in terms of the layout of the parking stalls. So it's not a dead end parking, okay? It's not a dead end parking. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. We need a turnaround in this area, as I mentioned to other folks. Otherwise, well, having that one would solve that problem. Accurate spot for a retaining wall. That's good. The retaining wall is in the right place. Everything else actually looks fine. We're just going to have a ramp go down the side. Yeah, that would work. You have plenty of space away from the vegetation to make that happen. You might not need this long because now we have a lot of flat space here. If we're getting into steep area, you might need to just move your parking to this direction a little bit. So try to stay away from this line. Try to stay away from that contour. We're getting steep over there. Yeah, that's pretty much what's necessary to make the revision. Paige, do you have other questions or?
I think that was it. That was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's move forward with more details on the plan, like the parking stalls in the right dimension, okay? Okay. Matthew. Okay,
I'm here.
so first one and then second one. Oh, the way around. What's that? That's good. Good. I don't see any. Let's see. Yeah. Did Stuart encourage you to have this connection in the middle? This connection in the middle?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear you.
that was my original design, and he just backed off of that and told me to add the second one closer to the entrance. But if that doesn't work, I can get rid of that.
Yeah, I would recommend getting rid of that, actually moving, so that you're actually having a longer neck. Having a longer neck here, basically this will save you, will give you 4 extra space, right? So we'll start the parking lot in that location, and then let's close that off. I know this doesn't, make it convenient for people who, well, honestly, it wouldn't, yeah. I don't think people would find the need to say, if I can't park here, I can't find a parking lot, I would go over here to park. That's not necessarily always, if you don't have an overflow parking. Yeah, let me try to organize my thought there. Creating that connection would make people turn right. So what would create a need for people to turn that way? If it's only trying to get out of the parking lot, then no, they can use this, right? They can use this.
Yeah.
What might make people wanting to drive over here and then go there?
I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. If we're not that sure, it's likely that it's not necessary. And
Okay.
this is, yeah, in fact, I think this would create risks and unnecessary. So let's close that off, and then we're pretty good. I think
Okay.
we're in. We still need to think about where we need sidewalk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think this part of the sidewalk would be that useful. People get off, they see the entrance, they walk over there, right? So that
Okay.
side of the part of the sidewalk may not be used by many people, by most people.
Mhm.
And this actually seems a good idea to have a sidewalk along this way, so they can
Okay.
step onto it, and then maybe there's a garden later on here,
Mhm.
right? And then direct them to come over here and then walk over to the plaza. So yeah, that's the only thing that I would recommend change. And I'm not exactly convinced just yet. Oh, okay. Let's see. Well, we may want to make this a little bit straighter and then enlarge that one. So people can get off in this area, or the bus can pull in a little bit and leaving enough room for other people to drive around, or we can make this a little bit smaller on this side because we need more space in this section of the parking, right?
Okay.
So those are the small details that I would recommend you make. Then otherwise we're good. Well, we need to round this one. Yeah, good work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, Wuhong, I have a question
Yeah, go ahead.
about what's due on Monday, because you said like Stuart was gonna show how to do the like AutoCAD like specific like arrays and stuff. But so should I have like the exact like measurements for everything, like the parking spots too?
Let me double check. So
Because
that
it doesn't say rough, it says like parking lot and roads and stuff.
so exercise 1 final. Okay. Yeah, we do need the parking. Let me let me broadcast to let me see if I can broadcast to Stuart. Okay. No. I need to click on B. Not sure if Stuart can hear me if I press on B. Hey Stuart, can you hear me? Huh. It might take an old phone call. Yeah, let me try to figure that out. Page once I finish my review. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get back to you. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. Yeah, we do need the parking stalls to be drawn on the curve. All right. Ruoyu is my next.
Yes, Professor, I'm here.
Thank you.
So,
All right, we have the bus drop off from Plaza. Yeah, well, they look mostly okay. So a couple small things. Neck here is too long. Okay. we wanna
okay.
kinda- yeah, neck here is too long. Here where if you have the parking arranged like this, you would want to connect to the middle,
Middle, okay. Yeah, middle. Yeah. So,
right? Yeah, so that's the one. And I think otherwise the relationships look pretty good. You could try to turn your parking. So if you look at where the most the flattest land is, it kind of follows this curve, right? So you could try to turn that a little bit toward this direction. So I'm utilizing the flat area as much as I can, but it's not that essential. Okay, it's not
Yeah.
that essential. And I by doing that, I can also create a little bit more space between my parking lot, and my drop off, which would be beneficial because later on I would need to treat my water, the
Okay.
runoff in the drop off area. And that also, could be, I'm even making a curve over here. So my bus drop off would be even further from my parking lot over there, creating more space in the middle here. So that could be, you could have a more curvier parking or main entrance road here.
Yes,
So-
Professor, but I could move the parking lot a little bit upper, but how about the car drop off? Should I make the car drop off close to the building or it could be away from the building? So,
You would make this shorter, the neck shorter, because then you're minimizing the driving impervious surfaces. So
Yeah, yeah.
it would be closer. Yeah, it would be actually closer to your parking lot instead of closer to the building. That will
Okay,
create
so
a good space for the plaza. Does that make sense?
yeah, so how could I design the car drop off if I move the parking lot, a little bit away from buildings? Could the drop off touch the slope line, or it could be in the current position? I just moved a little bit lower. So
I'm actually suggesting you pull your car drop off back to that direction.
oh yeah,
It's more attached to your parking lot than to the building.
okay,
Because, yeah, you don't need that to be super close to, as long as we have a good walking environment, right? I drop people off and then I immediately will be on my plaza. As long as we have that good plaza space, well, we're fine. It's fine to make people walk a little bit distance.
okay.
Yeah, you don't
Sure.
need to touch your building. It's actually going to actually make the plaza space less pleasant if you pull it too close to your building. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think things look fine. How should the stairs be designed? For now, you only need to indicate its location.
Okay, yeah.
Indicate its location. You think about if it's not, is it 9 feet or 10 feet? I can't remember anymore. Is it a 10 feet difference between the first floor and the second floor? You remember the
Yeah.
let's see.
Oh, we got a floor plan here.
10 feet. Yeah, 10 feet. So you can imagine it will be 20 stairs, at least 20 steps, right? 20
Okay.
steps. 20 steps. You would indicate there's a landing in between the two different flights. If you remember what we discussed in 235, you can
Yeah.
exceed 12 steps per flight. So
Yes.
we would try to incorporate 2 flights of stairs and a landing space in between. And that is all we need for Monday's submission for the stairs. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, good. Alrighty. Okay, so that's yours. I'll move forward then. All right, Jaden. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So, good. Well, we are for one side, we have one only single loaded parking, we have a lot of space. Okay, we do have space. We do have space to. So oh, that was from Tuesday, and here we have space over here. So make this perpendicular, okay? And then use that flat space for the turnaround. Now we have enough space to make this double loaded. I can see that you probably feared that I won't have enough space for this row of parking, so that I'm making this one single loaded on that side. Is that basically the reason why we did not have 4 rows of parking?
Yeah, pretty much. I just wanted to have room to get the turnaround in and also the other spaces.
Yeah. So it looks like to me, now if the turnaround follows the current shape, we would be able to have that extra space in this area, right? So I am basically moving the turnaround, the bus drop off, over in that direction for about 10 feet. So that leaves us about the same space. So my parking lot would end over here. That's the edge of my parking lot there. That's where I start to turn. And sorry about my mouse drawing skills. Even if I run out of space in this area, I can curve this side a little bit to this direction. You can try the straight option, and if if you get absolutely too tight, and then we can turn in this direction. So you would have this type of layout. Does that make sense?
Kind of. So are you saying that it would be like at the bottom of the parking lot, there would be like a dip that would be to turn around in?
Yes, you would have. No, this will be your drop off area for the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you would leave more a larger space at the end so that you can fit 3 cars in this space. 1 would be parked, the other 2 would be driving.
So then I wouldn't even need the circle turnaround that I have already. It would just be in the parking lot, is what you're saying?
Oh, you have 2. This is for the bus.
Oh, okay.
For the car. So you would have 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So the major. So let me try to recap. First major revision is to move the car, the bus drop off to the flat area. Basically the area that I outlined with red. Second one is to try the orange line with the straight one, but with 4 rows of parking. If the orange one, sorry, gets too tight, then we can turn the parking lot and make the edge of the parking lot more or less follow the vegetation outline here, the curve, the direction over there. So we can try to fit in 4 rows of parking to maximize the efficiency of the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. I believe it will work with the straight line, even the orange option. I think it could work with the orange option, but definitely will work with the pink option of curving the edge of the parking lot. You should be able to fit in 4 rows of parking without a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and this seems like that's the building, right? And
Yep.
or lower plaza. Okay, your lower plaza might not need to be that big. It might just need to be, in this area.
Okay,
Locate the current location. If we move the parking bus drop off over there, we should be able to move this building closer to be like this. Then we're avoiding the steeper slope over here.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Um,
we're getting pretty close here. Yeah,
I have one more question.
yeah, go ahead.
So for the space in front of the building, how far away do we need to have our parking lots and the drop-offs from the front of the building?
The front of the building, I would say, let's try to keep about 25 to 30 feet.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then it's like 50 from the vegetation, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
And we will take a look at Eric. So I know Melanie, you're here, but I somehow don't have your submission.
Yeah, so what happened was I submitted my PDF at like yesterday, like afternoon, but I forgot to submit my DWG, so I resubmitted it, but I think it showed up as like, oh, like my second attempt, but in real, like I actually did
Okay.
turn in my PDF, so that might be why it like seemed like it was late, but it should be on Canvas as
Okay.
like my first attempt.
Okay, let me try to download it from Canvas. So I have Eric's here, so I'll go through Eric and then I'll get to yours. Okay, Eric. Okay, I see you're here. So ADR parking, we need 2, I think, if I'm not remembering it wrong. Let's see. You might have read the assignment better than me. I was basically speaking from my memory. "40 parking lots." Yeah, we did say 90 degrees, no single-sided parking. Eric, you identified something that we forgot to include. How many ADA parking spaces? Well, let's do 2, because yeah. For now, let's do 2, and I'll make sure, because that's kind of the minimal number. I'll make sure that nobody will be deducted if they don't have exactly 2. More than 2 are always welcome. Somehow we missed this one. Sorry. Yeah, for now, let's say we're making 2 ADA parking. If it changes, we'll definitely make everybody aware of that. Okay, it's the roundabout going the right direction now. It is going the right direction, but you may have picked up from previous reviews that we need a 90-degree angle. So the location of your drop off and your parking lot, the building, they work. But I think we need to, once we get into the details of the parking lot, you will know that it's not, the connection right now is going to change, right? We would have, let me annotate. So that's correct. 90 degrees should be when they come out. But it's very vague in terms of how your parking lot connects to your plaza, right? So far, it's way vague in terms of, okay, I drive and then I need to turn around somewhere here and then get out. Okay, so your drop off needs to stop at this location. And then it might be good if you can actually turn a building. So you can see from both directions in the bus and the car drop off where the entrance is, instead of, okay, I dropped the people off, but there's no direct sight line for me to see the entrance over here. It's kind of hidden behind the car drop off over there. So that's something that I would try to change. So let me clear some here, this part, make it more clear. So we want to come in over here, and then having a parking lot like this. But at the end, we want to kind of finish it with a round drop-off area. And we want our building to be more or less like this. Okay, so so the building wouldn't appear to be, serving the car parking lot only. You would consider that there's a direct sight line, there's direct plaza connection to your stairs and plaza and their ramps. Okay. All right. Eric, do you have any questions about this revision?
No. Thank
The
you.
distance to figure out how many steps. No, 10 feet, right? 10 feet in elevation difference, as we said, about 20 steps. So you would have 2 flights of steps separated by a landing area in between. But if you roughly have 20 instead of 5, then we know your calculation or estimation is roughly correct. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And the retaining wall will be on both sides of the building. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about all the questions you have. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So Melanie, I'm gonna go download your submission. Yes. That's why I didn't have the PDF. Ah. Okay. What shape should the lower plaza be? Lower plaza would most likely be a pretty simple one. No, it could be pretty small, only right out of the exit at the bottom layer, or it could be large. But I wouldn't expect it to go beyond, because that means that you have to create many more retaining walls, right? Beyond the retaining wall would look like that if you make it bigger, right? So that will be harder because your lower slope here is actually pretty steep. So you only need to create, well, even if it's the green lines, the plaza, it's pretty big compared to the size of the building itself. So it's quite adequate, spacious already. The green lines. Can the turnaround and drop-offs be the same size? One is for bus, the other one is for the car. So this is bigger. Okay, this is about 110 or 100 feet in diameter. So this one is larger, that one is smaller. And for now, I'm not actually sure where your parking is. If I 150, let's see.
I had my parking like in between. I think I like didn't erase the lines, but like I feel like the bottom would be the parking lot turnaround and then the top would be the drop off, or the other way around. But like like something like that, like in between.
Yeah, if this is a parking, your drop off will likely be here.
Okay.
Yeah, because if this is 4 rows of parking, and then the last row is over here, I'm sorry, then you would go like this and then drop people off here, right? And then go back outside. So your drop off actually would be aligned to the two central rows of parking here. So that would be a drop off. It wouldn't be a separate thing. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, so I would only need one entrance in that case.
Yeah. I'm actually going to recommend you pull this whole thing to where you have your edge over here, because then you would have space in between.
Okay.
Yeah, for treating water.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
Thank
then
you.
the building can be upper here because this is a pretty good distance for that's probably 40 feet. That's a good distance from the drop off to your building. Your plaza can be in this area.
okay, awesome. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So otherwise, no, make this completely 90 degrees. So for the first section, I would align it like that, and then I start to turn. Okay. Yeah, it could be in that location to leverage the flat space over here. Yeah, we can continue to put more details of the parking stalls, the rounding of the corners into the parking lots design, and then yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Alrighty, you're welcome. Thank you. So I'll need to figure out the question of the curved parking lots. Let me return to the main room and figure that out, and then I'll let everybody know.